I'm gonna just get to this as quickly as I can. Now with this, just make sure you're talking like directly right there. All right, here we go. I'm with Eric here. We're at everything's live. I had a OBS crash, so I had to fix it real quick.
We're back.
And we're back. We're here at Game Ogre here in Southern California. I'm with Eric, winner of the Star Wars Unlimited Store Showdown. You played Palpatine Blue.
Yeah.
It was 4 rounds. You took the win over a Boba Red.
Boba Green.
Okay, a Boba Green.
Yeah, last one was Boba Green.
I don't think I've seen a Palp deck. I think I've seen plenty of Boba decks, which are the typical meta. I mean, unless Palpatine became meta a couple of days ago and then I missed it. It was really cool to see a Store Showdown winner. I think most have been Sabine, Vader, Boba, and then I think just recently there was a Leia. That was kind of cool. But you typically see that. Don't think I've seen a Palpatine deck. So congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Can you just go over your deck just a little bit, little intro to it?
Yeah, totally. So you'll see a lot of similarities with a lot of the blue decks where they're playing the Vigilance and Restock package. So that is definitely the core of what your kind of last line of defense is. The deck has evolved a ton. I have to thank my buddy Andrew, who's smashed hundreds of games with this deck to try to find different ways to attack, especially the aggro decks. Because Palpatine on his own just dominates mid-range decks. He just absolutely everything he does punishes them. So the deck's basic game plan, kind of turn to turn, is very, very often don't get to play anything on turn one. But if I can, I want to play the V-Wing to just draw another card. My turn 2, if I'm playing something aggressive, I'm looking to Power of the Dark Side to get it out of there. If not, I'm looking to ramp up. That way, turn 4, again, if it's aggressive, I'm trying to play Child's In. That's where the V-Wing is so awesome. A lot of decks that are playing Child's In are needing to pass on turn 1 just to have 4 cards in their hand.
What card is that?
The V-Wing or Child's In?
Child's In.
Child's In is this guy right here. So he's for 4 resources. He's a 2/2 Sentinel.
Watching you utilize that in that match was...
He's very powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful if you can keep your hand stocked full of blue cards. He's also pushes a lot of the deck building. So there's some really weird things in this deck that like break my heart, that I only have 2 Palpatine's guards, and that's just because they're green.
Got you. Okay.
I'm really, really trying to keep the deck as blue as possible to keep your Child's powerful. But that's kind of your early turn initiative, is basically playing out, fixing in one way or another for your cards, either an Inferno to scry or the V-Wing to draw a card. Those are both also great throws for Palpatine, so that'll do 1 damage and draw a card, which can get rid of a Greedo or help something else trade really well, trying to either ramp or get into a Child's In as soon as possible, whether it's mid-range or control. And then after that, it's just the brutality of these like big cards. So you're talking Vader's coming down, having all the little guys to throw so Palpatine can steal something. That's really Palpatine's big thing, is drawing cards, doing 1 damage, and then stealing something on his flip turn. Another reason I love Palpatine for these blue decks is the Palpatine is resource 8, and so is Super Laser Blast. So your opponent ends up in a really hard decision whether to commit a lot of things to the board, and then Super Laser Blast is very good, or commit only 1 or 2 things, and then the Palpatine steal is very, very good.
Yeah, watching, I didn't realize what the Palp was doing all of the, what is it? Just to deal 1 damage and draw, like how much resources that thing was getting out. I didn't even hit the board yet. And I was just watching you like being able to set a board, and then I think you had a couple cards that would kill themselves and then become. I was just like, I got to mention to you, that was like such a Palpatine thing. Like that guy, Palpatine did not care who he was sacrificing to build up a resource. So it was nice to watch like the theme play out in the game. Can you talk about your sideboard a little bit too?
Sure.
So, especially for me as a new player, I've only barely gotten into the sideboard. I understand what's like kind of the meta, so it was really fun to watch you pilot a deck that I'm not used to watching take the win, and then just talk about the sideboard. Is it specifically to target your weakest matchups? Like, you just talk about your methodology of going into your side for.
So the deck is actually in kind of the other direction. I run like 3 repairs main board, for example, because I'm trying to be as ready for aggro as possible.
Yeah.
Game 1, I haven't met a mid-range deck that has a really good matchup. So I don't actually, my main deck is just trying to play the aggro game. So when you get into my sideboard, it's actually to try to deal with mid-range and control and the things they're going to do sideboarded against a control deck like this. So my sideboard, the only card that's in my main deck that like has to come out against aggro is the 1 restock, and then that gets replaced with a make an opening or devotion.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that? I think, especially because to me, I remember when I saw that card starting to pop up, and you see it in some videos or people talking about it, even in the marketplace, you see the card get bought out.
Yeah,
especially a higher rarity that used to be like maybe less than $1. Now it's being played a lot. You just kind of see it. The hyperspace spell will go up to like $5 out of nowhere. I'm not like too deep of a competitive player. Can you just talk about the restock card being either main or sideboard? Or like what's so important about that?
I use 1 main, 1 side. It's a really important rule to know with restock. When you play an event, the card goes into your discard before you do its effect. And that's important for restock because restock says take 4 cards from your discard and put them at the bottom of your library. Shuffle and put them at the bottom of your library. So restock can target itself. Very important.
Cool. Okay.
So the entire point of restock is basically all of these control decks playing Vigilance are trying to Vigilance each other out. They're trying to empty each other's deck.
Yeah.
Restock lets you put 4 cards back. It's very often includes some amount of Vigilances. And one of the things, so that's kind of it. That's what restock is there for most decks. One of the things that keeps me on this Palpatine deck, Palpatine, especially with those V-Wings, is so good at that last couple of turn fights with restock and vigilance because I can draw cards.
Yeah.
So I can restock. Very often the game becomes like you're trying to hold off on a vigilance to vigilance your opponent's restock so that they don't actually get them, and now they're burning. So trying to have enough card draw to get enough resources, to get enough cards in my hand, I will often deck myself first before my opponent.
Oh, wow, okay.
But I can get to the point where I can fight over that turn by forcing units down their throat in the last 2 turns. They have to super laser blast or something. And if they don't have enough resources, I can then restock, V-Wing, draw a card, Palpatine sack the V-Wing, draw a card, and then maybe pass and draw the last 2 cards again, and I've got my whole restock back.
Especially when, especially towards the later game, you get to know what's about to pop into that deck. Like, it's really cool. That was the first time being able to watch something like that. So it's cool to see that, because I started seeing that card for like $4 or $5. Where somebody asked me the other day if I had restocks, like, do you have any hollow ones? I was like, restock? I was like, I had one. It was funny. I was like, yeah, just take it. And it's funny. It's like, it's only $1 or $2, but that card was like maybe 10 cents. So, but to see it in the competitive matches, and you see it on the Star Wars. God, I try to get SWUDB. I don't know what the quicker name for that is. There you go, Swoodabuh. I've seen it pop up there on some of the winning deck lists. So thanks for breaking that down. I was wondering what was the big deal. Can you talk about, were there any tough matchups? Or, I mean, do you feel like you were, because it sounds like you were pretty prepared.
Okay. Today, my matchups were super
all
super
TCG
lucky.
games for sure.
Yeah. So basically, I'm showing up hoping to dodge Sabine. She against a good pilot, I probably have like a 30% win chance against Sabine.
Okay.
It's really
brutal. Can you speak on why?
It's just the speed and the reach. So basically they're dumping units faster than I can remove them.
Yeah.
The Sabine turn is so early that it basically has to be a perfect Child's End to try to block it.
Yeah. Because she needs what to deploy? 4. Yeah.
4 resources. It's bananas. So she's just pounding damage early.
Yeah.
And then even when you feel like you've stabilized, K2SOs, For a Cause I Believe In, Heroic Sacrifice, Sabine's tap ability, they're all just pinging you the whole time.
Oh yeah, the For a Cause I Believe In. I can't believe I've won games with that, because like
I've lost a lot of games to that.
Because I played Leia. Am I playing Leia Red? So like I feel like in the third, if it's not the 25 or 25 base, but when it's that 31, I feel like I run into a time that's just I can't do enough damage. But it's just funny that extra 4 sometimes will do it for you in the game. So can you talk what else about what's another deck that you?
So Sabine's by far my worst, and then the struggle decks after that are things like Leia. I think I have a little bit better chance against her, but that's a struggle. That's a struggle match. After that, I feel really advantaged in most games. So today I started against Vader Green, and then I played against Green Tarkin. Which was that was a very cool deck. Then I played Chirrut Red, and then we ended on the Boba Green. And I didn't drop a game all day. Those were all 2-0s and very quickly.
Okay. Wow.
The other, except for the Vader, the other guys also, all 3 of my opponents, all 3-1 to the day. I was their only loss. So they were all playing and like came and delivered. It's just this Palpatine deck chews those type of decks up really, really, really
Yeah,
well.
no, that was
It's
it
got
was,
the lines for it.
I didn't. That's why I can't wait to watch more of the gameplay back because I didn't like. Cause like you were saying, it's a very like mid late interaction with your
Yeah.
leader and stuff. Like so, it was cool to see the game play out the way you did it. But what about? Is there anything you would change? You think? Is this? Did you say this is the first one you were using the deck, the first event, or?
No, to be honest, so I opened the Showcase Palpatine maybe like week 2 or 3. I was
gotcha,
playing
gotcha.
Vader. I opened that Palpatine out of a pack, and I switched to that. And besides for fun, I haven't played a single other deck. I've just been refining this one
That's
as
really
much as
cool.
possible.
Because of the showcase.
The Showcase vote dragged me there, and I was like, "Oh, I just have to
it,
play that."
dude.
Yeah, I'm totally that little kid that just
Yeah.
wants to play with the shiny thing that I got. So
Because the
that's
artwork
what got
on
me
it
there.
is
it's
awesome.
Great.
Like
it's great. I love it, and it doesn't look green; it looks black, which is really cool. I
Oh
love
yeah,
everything
no,
about it.
like the way it just blacks out, like
Yeah.
the whole card. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
it's one of the few that look like that. Is there any? Is this? You think this is what you're gonna keep just moving forward, or?
So yeah, I mean the whole question is like how much Sabine you're willing to put up with, basically.
Yeah.
And I always think about when I come to an event like this, like if too much Sabine shows up, should I be playing something else? I actually really think Boba Yellow is very, very strong.
'Cause you think-
that's
would
probably
you
the one I'd
think-
play otherwise.
It's like Boba, Sabine, Vader. Like, would you say those are the top
Yeah.
three? Right. Okay.
So basically, the only things that I'm afraid of is somebody who brings the full-on, like crazy control package, which is 3 vigilance, 3 restock, 3 bounty hunter crews.
Yeah.
And you'll see, I actually kind of dip into that where I play the command in the sideboard.
Yeah, you do. The
So
one
that's
of, yeah.
that's another angle. The command can get back your bounty hunter crew. That can get back a restock or a vigilance. Your bounty hunter crew gets a restock or a vigilance.
Oh, that's
so each of those
funny.
becomes
Yeah,
like more
yeah,
copies
yeah.
of those things. Command and bounty hunter crew also can do each other infinitely. If you just want to threat every single turn and you're not worried about being decked.
Yeah.
So that can play like with your Iden Reds, for example, do some
Oh,
funny
see,
stuff.
that whole thing, recycling your discard pile like that. I need to see that happen. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I was able to watch like the vigilance and the super laser blast like crazy back, like holding on to them when you needed them. Because I think it was Aaron was playing Dylan in one of the matches, and it was just insane to watch 3 come out like towards the late game, like within a span of 3 to 4 turns. Like the amount of damage it does to the board state is
Bananas.
It's bananas.
Yeah, it's really strong. So that's what I have to decide. Like if control gets way more popular, then my sideboard will have to be even more of those 2 cards in particular.
Got you.
If if aggro gets way too popular or I'm afraid of it, I have to get on a different deck. This is just not great against aggro.
You think? I mean, because if you looked at because I did want to bring that up with the new set coming out. Have you looked at the cards at all?
Oh yeah, I look at all the
I
spoilers
figured.
coming
So,
out. Yeah,
do you
I'm
think
so
any of that
excited.
is going to be like helping the deck, or do you think is like you were just mentioning, like if it becomes more aggressive, you're just going to have to switch?
I hate that Wrecker is going to exist. I think Wrecker is going to be
one
like
looks-
for a cause I believe in. I'm just going to be like, oh, Wrecker ruined me again. But as far as helping the deck, there's nothing that's popped up to me and said like, that's it. That card's going to be
Gotcha.
amazing. There's a couple that I would love to try. I can't remember the name of it. It's the ship for the evil Mandalorians that gives all of your guys grit except for your leader.
Oh
Unfortunately.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
And it smuggles, which smuggle in this deck just feels so cool. I want really good smuggle cards really badly.
Man, because if you're throwing so many of those smuggle cards into your resources using Palp, like to be able just to which one do I want to freaking like
That sounds
whip
so
out? Like,
great.
oh, dude.
So great to me. So that ship seems amazing. Capture might be very, very good. And that's just really dependent on what other decks are
Which
playing.
one was capture?
So there's a handful of cards that do capture.
That's what it
There's a
is.
green
Yeah.
one that just straight up captures another card. So it's going to be kind of another 3 mana soft removal, I suppose. And then the bounties, so like the blue bounty
yeah,
that
the bounties,
heals,
I'm
that'll
really-
probably be strong in this deck. I imagine I'll be playing that because I play repair for 1,
Yeah.
so I can see that bounty being very, very strong. So there's things like that I will be very excited to play around with, but especially in a deck like this, like I'm waiting to see the legendaries.
No, dude, no, 100%. Like, because
I want to see the legendaries, man.
have any of them been revealed?
Like 4, I believe.
Okay,
There's been 4. There's a big green Star Destroyer for 11.
yeah,
that
that one
also
looked-
lets you capture with every unit
Yeah.
when it comes down. That could be really, really good. I'd love to play with it and see how it pans out against meta. But
I saw the Poe. Like the way
Poe,
I play
yep.
it is like I really like everyone who plays this game, like in general, like love Star Wars. So it's just like dude, any of it is a good draw. But I really love Poe and BB-8, and it's the only reason I went red so I can play.
I didn't even
the
think about
Poe
that. We haven't
Dameron
seen
cards. So
BB-8
I'm
yet.
like,
That
dude,
could be
is he gonna
awesome.
be? Did they announce all the leaders?
Oh, I don't. No. 'Cause I don't think we've
'cause
seen
for
like
me,
Villain Blue yet.
I
at
was
all,
really
that I can think
hoping.
of.
Chopper would be leader, just because to me he's or either him or
Chopper the
R2D2.
robot?
Yeah, I thought.
Hell yeah! All right,
I thought
I'm
either
in.
him or R2D2 as leader. I don't care what they do. I just
Cool.
if those two were leaders, I'd love them. But they ended up coming out the way they came out, so I'm hoping. Like is BB like I don't to me is one of the favorite little new droids from the sequel era of Star Wars. Like dude,
Yeah, sequel. You're right.
So
You're
cute,
right.
the rolling ball.
Yeah,
I
BB-8 is
hope
great.
that's the one that they put on the leader unit. But
I never even thought about those little droids becoming leaders. That sounds awesome.
because you figured it'd be R2D2,
that sounds great.
right?
Yeah,
and then they're just like
he makes like ships and other droids stronger somehow.
That's what I was
like
hoping.
his
I
interactions.
want a
That'd be great.
droid deck, and I only bring that up because the way this deck plays, like we had mentioned. I keep repeating because it's so fun. It plays like Palpatine, like it plays like how that character would.
Yeah, I feel like Palpatine playing this deck.
Yeah, dude,
it's very cool.
Watching you just like I said, keep adding to your resource pile from things just either dying. You don't care that you're crashing it into whatever to try to either damage or take something off the board. Like it's coming over here. It's the next set coming out. Have you played? Is this you playing any more of the store?
Yeah,
tournaments?
next week we've got Fire and Dice has got another Saturday
That's
one,
the
so
other
I'm
one.
planning on
Cool.
being there if I can work out the time. So yeah, I'll hit as many as I can. This unfortunately was my first one. I missed all the other ones so far.
Okay. Congrats!
so-
First one here.
Yeah, I was really
With the Palp,
excited.
That's cool.
So yeah, I'm really happy. And yeah, I'll be taking it back to as many as I can and see how many Mace Windows I can stack up.
I was gonna say I've seen a couple people with like, especially depending on the area, you only have X amount of stores. Like they have like 3 sets or something.
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
like,
that'd be nuts.
Putting in work.
That'd be nuts.
Again, congrats. Is there any like what would you say the MVP of your deck? Like what was the card that you think got you through the tournament here?
That's a great question, man. Obviously Avengers like crazy powerful.
Can you think which one? Avengers the
Yeah,
space
it's the
unit.
9 mana or not, 9 resource Star Destroyer. That thing has sealed out so many games.
'Cause it's tough. I mean, there's so much. I mean, there's only one set out, so it's just like whatever's concentrated. Like, dude, almost everything is like a heavy hitter.
Yeah, and I really think of this deck, as I said before, it's about giving my opponent like really bad decisions to make. And so things like, Traitorous was really good, and I almost always take it out game 2 because I want game 1 for it to be really strong, and then I want my opponent to bring in like anti-upgrade stuff, and I don't want Traitors to be around for it.
Yeah, see, there you go. The side deck mind games already.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big. That's the I always forget the name of this. So this is the Relentless, is the other 9 resource Star Destroyer. Very powerful.
Can you talk about what's the?
So it's 9 resources, an 8/8, and its effect is your opponent's first event every phase is ignored. Like its effects are ignored. So
Oh gosh, so you have to play something.
yeah, so I
to
played
move past
Chirrut.
it.
Chirrut was doing awesome today. Like I said, he cleaned 3-1, and in our first game, he actually main decked Forced Surrender, which you have to have done damage that turn, but
Yeah.
then for 6 resource, you draw 2 and your opponent discards 2.
Yeah,
So it's a huge swing.
Yeah.
And against a control deck, like it's backbreaking. And so the Relentless came in. So I was able to eke that game out because I was able to get enough stuff down to just beat him up with it. But game 2, I got the Relentless down, and it was the same thing. Like now he's locked behind. He would have to get 2 events out to make anything work.
Make anything
And
happen.
He's just
it's
getting
like-
smacked for 8 every turn trying to do it. So
And
the Relentless is hard to move.
typically one that you need like the costs are pretty. I don't know, 3 to 4
Right.
up there, and you're just like you just ding your board, and it's just gonna sit there. So to me, it's at least probably 2 turns sitting on there,
Very often.
stopping them from
Very, very
from
often
playing.
it's just beating you up for a couple turns. And that's a fast clock. You're on Tarkin Towns, or you've got 25
Oh, dude, yeah.
life. This thing's gonna knock you out in 3 turns.
It's been interesting to, especially me. I'm not as competitive, but when you're thinking about the gameplay, like, is your deck made for the 25? Like, you really got to kind of think about like how aggressive can your build even be? Like, can you afford it with the 25 base? I've lost so much because of my experience of losing it because of that 5 is it's insane to me. Like, there's a lot that goes into the Star Wars. I really love how methodical and competitive a lot of the gameplay has become. Like,
Yeah, I mean, Fantasy Flight really, I think, deserves a lot of props for this first set. The metagame is ever shifting every single week. The decisions are really interesting, even something like which base to play when you already know what colors you're in.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible that they made it and it balanced it that well. A lot of people are complaining about ECL early on. There's YouTube videos about how it needs to be banned and all this. And I don't think any of that's a conversation anymore because
Yeah.
the metagame has adapted to everything everyone's
I
done.
think now everyone's really looking at all of the cards.
Yeah.
There's like I'd mentioned on the stream before, there was a Leia red deck that won a 5K in Florida. It's just there's different versions of the decks all coming out
Yeah.
and winning now. Like now you get to add yours to that list. So it'll be, I hope, and of course it'll start driving people to be more creative and just try something else out. Because I mean, in my mind, I wasn't even thinking I was going to see a Palp deck, in the tops like that. So it was really, I can't wait to see what else people will try to flesh out now before the next set, and then that next set looks really fun. I'm
Yeah,
not as competitive, and
for
I've
it.
already seen a bunch of cards that are just ditching stuff and adding more stuff to your resources. I'm just like, dude.
All the Smuggle's going to be nuts. I think Smuggle's my favorite thing I've heard of them adding. I'm very excited to play
love
with
that
it.
it's like that it's
love it.
that it's the smuggle stuff and the bounty stuff. Like just with set 2, they're already adding like some new flavor to the game. So it's really like the progression is gonna happen quick. So dude, I'm stoked.
Me too.
Again, Eric, congrats on the win.
Thank you,
I
sir.
appreciate you taking a minute to chat. Hopefully you're gonna go to the Fire and Dice one. Hopefully. I'd love to see the Palp just put in more work.
Yeah, me too.
Dude, again,
Me too.
congrats. We're here at Game Ogre here in Southern California for their Star Wars Unlimited store showdown, I believe is the proper term.
Yes,
you
sir.
won your Mace Windows and stuff. Again, congrats. Thanks
Awesome.
for taking time.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
How do I pause this? So unprofessional. I had to disconnect so much stuff from the main computer.